There we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Heal Profoundly and Enduringly. So appreciate having you here. If this is your first time, welcome.
There we go.
If it
Hi,
is,
everybody.
and
Welcome
if it's
to-
not your first time, welcome back. My name is Laura Mazzata, and I'm an Akashic therapist and a Reiki master. And I bring this show on, I bring lots of entrepreneurs and healers and honestly passionates, multi-passionates about all of the opportunities that we can dive into to be able to heal ourselves, to empower ourselves, to know how much we have accessible within. And so I love being able to add to your toolbox and resource list so that you can access these things anytime you desire. And today I have Tammy Mack with us. And Tammy, welcome.
Thank you so much. And thank you for creating this container for us to collaborate instead of compete against each other. I'm so grateful that you are creating this awareness for us all to share our gifts in a beautiful way that doesn't feel like we're comparing ourselves to others. Instead, we're collaborating and sharing, which is so beautiful.
Exactly. It just helps us lift each other up, makes us stronger, right? So I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes here to get to know Tammy. She's an empowered soulpreneur who empowers her soulmate clients into taking a deeper dive into themselves through quantum human design, which is so exciting. And I can't wait to talk about it. Intuition and channeled messages. She's been serving in healthcare for almost 20 years in long-term care and now mental health and addictions in the hospital. She left her full-time job so she could guide others into connecting deeper into who they are, why they have incarnated at this time, and how they can serve in this new paradigm that we're all co-creating together. So today we're going to be talking about quantum human design, and I can't wait. Such a good topic. Thank you so much for coming. And I'm going to start by asking you what I ask everybody when we begin, which is, what is the one thing that you feel is necessary to heal profoundly and enduringly?
That is a great question. If I was to share one message that I want to drill in, there's my masculine energy, into everyone, is that you are the Goldilocks of enoughness. You truly, truly are. And there's so many times where we either feel as though we're not enough or we're too much. And really understanding that you are enough the way that you are today at this moment, whether you're dressed to the nines and you have your hair and makeup done and clothes, or whether you're dancing around in your jammy jams and your hair is a mess and you've got coffee breath, you are always so worthy of receiving.
Yeah, I love that so much. And receiving can be so challenging for people, so challenging, especially for somebody like you who has so many masculine arrows, right? And that's the thing. We could talk about human design in a minute, but everybody's different. And so receiving is not hard for everyone. It's definitely something that is unique to your energetic blueprint and like what makes you you. And so that's why I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit about quantum human design, because that's going to help people understand, how do I know uniquely what makes me me and what this blueprint even is? Like, what are you talking about? So can you share that with us a little bit?
I sure can. So I have studied and I've mentored, and I am a level 4 quantum human design specialist. And quantum human design is a little bit different than human design. And I just wanted to share that a little bit, because human design is the beautiful integrated system of learning how you are unique and different in the world. And human design talks a lot about who you're not. While quantum human design, we love to empower you by telling you who and sharing with you as to who you truly are, who you are without the conditioning, but also who you are. And so human design uses your natal chart, uses Western astrology. And not only do we use the natal astrology, but we go 88 days before and connect to your body, your carbon-based DNA. And so not only are we looking at the light encoding around the carbon-based DNA, but also the DNA itself, because our bodies have come here to heal trauma and to heal generational conditioning and to be embodied in what it is that we're here to do. But then we also have the soul message and the light encoding that is why we're here at this time in this incarnation and the gifts that we're meant to share. But it also goes into the energy centers through the Hindu chakra system, which is a beautiful way to connect to all of the different energy brains in our body. And so understanding when you look at your chart and you see the openness in your chart, what each of these energy centers are really telling you and how the energy is meant to move through you. And so when you have a lot of conditioning in these open centers, they're blocking you from receiving and from allowing that flow within you. I really, truly love the energy psychology of human design because these are archetypal themes that we all experience in our life, whether we're experiencing in the shadow or whether we're experiencing them in the gift, whether we're repressed in our energies or whether we're being reactive. And so this beautiful dance of who you are, how the energy is meant to move through you, how you take in information, how you share information, your soul purpose, your gifts, and everything in between.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so beautiful. And I know that some people can get really, really overwhelmed when they look at a human design chart and they receive all of this. Oh my gosh, this is all great information, but whoo, my head is spinning, and just like when you first look at your astrology chart and you have no idea what you're looking at, you can get a little confused and it can be defeating. So what would you recommend to people who feel that way?
I would recommend a reading with somebody who can truly see your chart and read it like the matrix that it is, because sometimes you are going to get lost in your own thinking and you get trapped by the way that you see it, and you may not open yourself up to how others perceive you and that others see how magical you truly are. And so having a reading really gives you that gift of opening up and to receive.
Yeah. And I like that too, because I got readings before I started diving into my own learning around human design and doing my own training program. And I have to say, like, it's so fun to learn about it too, because you're really excavating all these tiny little pockets and nuances of who you are. And it's like a little experiment. It's like a little project. It's so fun. But that's a very masculine, active experience. Right. And so it is so nice to also receive. I mean, even that I've been working with the Akashic records for so long and I'm so well versed in them, I still love to receive from other people because it's a different energy. You know what I mean? And it just feels so nice to be nourished and taken care of and guided sometimes, like we don't have to do it all on our own. And that's what's so beautiful about having somebody like you to hold their hand while they're starting to navigate it.
And sometimes we get so stuck in our stinking thinking and our negative minds, right? So we may see our chart and we may feel as though we're a victim of our chart.
Yeah,
and
seriously.
We are not sisters of circumstances. We are the matrices of our matrix. And so having somebody who is well trained in reading your chart will allow you to open up to more of who you are, as opposed to thinking that you're a victim of certain circumstances or certain parts of your design, and really being able to uncover the gifts that they truly, truly are.
And empower them, like you said, which is so cool. That's what I like about it.
Yeah.
So if somebody's feeling kind of stuck, how would you how can this concept, this approach help them get unstuck?
Yes, absolutely. So many times we are stuck because we have taken on too much and we're energetically depleted. And when we're energetically depleted, we are seeking for more and more and more. So for instance, if your head is open, if you are always taking in these beautiful information, sometimes what happens is we start comparing ourselves to others. We should be doing it the way they're doing it. And we're we're taking in all these questions and we're trying to find answers that are not even ours. Or on the other hand, if we feel we have openness on the bottom of our chart in our root chakra, and we're taking in the responsibility of doing and doing and doing all the time, which is energetically depleting us, and we're doing things that were not even ours to do, to prove ourselves. Yeah. So when I talk to my soulmate clients about getting unstuck, I love to remind them to use their strategy. For most of us, it's getting back into our body, getting back to what it is that we truly love to do, and feel a sense of this joy, this happiness, this flow. And when we get back into that flow, we get to respond to life. We get to see the synchronicities and the coincidences that are happening all the time around us, but we don't see them because we're too busy in our head.
Yeah. Yeah. I can totally identify with that. I have an open crown and an open mind. So I've got it all coming in. So I totally feel that. And it's just about, and again, like you were saying earlier, it's not being a victim of your chart and saying like, oh my gosh, like this is going to be so hard for me. Like, this is why I suck. Like that's not the point of this. It's to be able to say, oh, cool. Now I have that insight and I get to be more intentional with it, and I get to really, it doesn't mean that you're trapped by your design, it's learn about it so you can learn how to work with it and co-create with it.
Yes. And being so open, this is an opportunity for us to gain more wisdom, because even if you've had, situations in your life that were a little bit tough, that we created, that we came into, overcoming those and really not allowing those to, like I said, be a victim of those circumstances, to gain the wisdom so that you can share those with others through your own mastery.
I know. And that's so beautiful too, because that's what I love to call in, is people who are really committed to this as an act of service. And it's not just for themselves, but for the collective, realizing that when we do this work, it's creating a solid foundation within us for sure. And that solidarity is going to ripple out to other people. That empowerment is going to ripple out to other people. And it starts with us, with taking that responsibility for how we're showing up and what we desire to create, and being able to take action on that. So, I know one of the big questions that a lot of people have when they come into this world is, I want to know my soul purpose. How do I find my soul purpose? How do I get there? So what would you suggest to people who come to you and ask you the same thing?
Well, first I tell them to take a deep breath in and let them know that they're probably already serving out of their soul purpose, and they don't even realize it. It's the things that light you up. Right? And a lot of the times it's the things that you've overcome. So when we do look at your human design chart and we look at the incarnation cross, which is the first four numbers, we'll just say it's the first four numbers. This makes up 70% of why it is that you came here. And so understanding the way that these energies are already playing out in your life, and sometimes it's just a small tweak or a remembering as to, yes, this is who I am. Yes, this does light me up. Oh my goodness, like I love sharing in this way. And when we can start connecting to that and allowing more of that to come in, we get to be empowered by ourselves and allow this radiance to radiate out of our auras and allow other people to respond to the ripple effect that we're creating in our lives.
Yeah, it's beautiful. We're giving other people an opportunity to respond, which gifts them their sovereignty as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. And sovereignty is a big word right now, because I live in Canada for once. And so, we're considered a sovereign nation, but it really is coming back to your own sense of knowing that you get to choose. Yeah. You get to choose. It is always your choice, and allowing yourself to take back that choice, to take back that sovereign right, that you do know what's right for you when you allow yourself to connect to that, as opposed to what's going on in the world.
Yeah. And it's funny because I know that there's a lot of people who get scared of that, because it's like, okay, well, I'm going to dive in and I'm going to learn this about myself, but I don't really know if I'm ready to uncover all of this about myself, because what do I do with it then? Then they feel this sense of responsibility. And it's so funny because when I first started working with the Akashic Records, I remember feeling anxious every time that I would enter the records at the really, really beginning. And it's because I knew that they were going to tell it to me straight. You know what I mean? Like, I knew they were going to be like, listen, lady, like, chill the fuck out and do X, Y, and Z. And I'd be like, I don't want to yet. I don't know if I'm ready. You know what I mean? And so, but the results spoke for themselves. And so I just kept showing up. I kept attuning myself. My belief was stronger than my fear. Right. So what thoughts do you have on that for people who are like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready?
Okay, I can speak into this quite freely because I am my biggest cock block. I truly, truly am. I am my biggest block because I have a fear of power, which is why I am an empowerment coach, because I had to overcome what power really meant. And not, in my life, I always felt powerless.
Yeah.
And because I was always a victim. I was in this victim mentality of everything around me. And it wasn't until I did my own deep dive, which is why I created the program Deep Dive Diva, because sometimes we need a little bit of hold handing when we're going through some of those patterns that are continuously repeating in our life. And we need to know that it's okay. We're okay in that pattern. And when we can start loving ourselves in our shadows, it allows more light to come in. And so when we love ourselves in that place first, it gives us opportunities to say, yes, more, I'm ready for more.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah. And it's true because it's funny. Like I've experienced chronic illness over the past 6 years. And there's this concept of like, well, don't identify with your illness. Right. And so for me, it was, and I avoided that for a while, but I was in avoidance. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, this doesn't work. This is not working, And it really was more about embracing it and accepting it and enfolding it into who I am and appreciating and honoring and loving every inch of it. And the more that I fall in love with it, the more that I heal. And it's so cool because when we experience pain or we experience discomfort emotionally or physically, our ego and our nervous system's response naturally is to run, is to flee, is to hide, is to look for somebody to save us. I need. Whereas instead you're exactly where you need to be. Let's sit with it. Let's sink into it. And let's actually sit with ourselves and allow ourselves to be a witness, and a collaborator in what we're creating.
Working in mental health has really opened up I like get a little teary when I think about this. Yeah. It is, oh my goodness, it has opened up my heart so much to compassion, because the people that I work with are in deep pain. They have experienced trauma in their life. They're murdered, they're rapists, they're pedophiles, they're drug addicts. And when they come in, I can give them love just by holding space, just by allowing them to feel as though that they're worthy of receiving, even in their darkest moments. And having this space of working on such a variance, right? I work in mental health, but I also work with soulpreneurs who are still struggling with some of the same things, but they're able to work they're able to mask it a little bit easier sometimes, but they may have also struggled with the same conditioning growing up, the same traumas. And so this is why I feel it's so important to come back to your sense of self as to who you really are, and connecting to your empowerment, so that you can start healing some of those traumas that are still playing out in your story. And when we start healing them through emotional freedom tapping, through breath work, through meditation, I have many modalities that I love to work with, because we don't all need to necessarily hash it out in our mind. right? We get
Yeah.
stuck in these stories, and the more that we tell these stories, the more pain and the more trauma that comes out. And sometimes we can, and it's not bypass, but look at it in a different way and come at it in a different way in order to allow those energies to move out of us.
Yeah. And to take a higher perspective, like you're saying, it's not going to, you can't, you literally are talking about the post that I just made before we went live, which was, really this concept of like, we get so lost in the human sauce. You cannot fix long-standing patterns with the mind. You can't. You're going to be you can try, but you're going to be chasing your tail, and you might get Band-Aid fixes here and there, but it's not going to be sustainable. It's just not sustainable. And I love so much, it just touches my heart so deeply to know that you're working in the mental health field too, because that's who I love to connect with so much, because obviously I've been in the mental health world for 20 years as a therapist, and man, the level of depth and expansion that I've been able to go to with this work, in addition to the therapeutic modalities, is mind-blowing. And it's opened up a completely different world for approaching mental health and serving these people who are feeling like they're really stuck in the struggle, and it means so much to me to be able to bring this approach, but also to connect with other practitioners, who are in the field, because I think that the more that I know, that the more we can expand the intuition of anybody who's working with people in the healthcare industry, the better off we're going to be, because it's that softening, it's that space holding, it's that allowing people to come into their own, rather than just, okay, you have this diagnosis, here's the boxes that we need to check in order for you to get to this point. And then there's so many people who don't fit into that and get lost through the cracks.
Honestly, sometimes it's just being able to be there,
yeah,
and to listen to them,
mm-hmm.
or even not. Sometimes they come in, they don't even want to talk, they don't even want to connect. That is totally okay. Just being open and having so much love. It is so important though that we fill our cups first and serve from the saucer. And so when I come in, I don't work full time. And the reason why I don't do this is because then I would be jaded. I would be bitter. I would be angry. So I choose to come in only a few days a week, because when I come in, my cup is full. I am so happy to be at work. I am so happy to sit and play cards with somebody who, is so shut off from the world, and give them just a smile, just a reminder that they are worthy of even just a smile. And even just a smile can go such a long way for people that are in the dark, or that are feeling trapped, or hating themselves. And I've come from a deep level of self-hatred, like deep, dark self-hatred, that I understand. I have that empathy that I can share, because I've been there. I know what that self-hatred and how trapped that you are in that.
And honestly, just your presence is validating, right? Because of what you've been through, and you don't even have to say a word. And just because of what you're attuned to energetically, you're impacting them, and that's why I think it's so beautiful that you're going into that. And what we just talked about before we went live is that we were both listening to frequency tones and clearing our fields this morning. We had a very emotional weekend at my house. All my kids were melting down. I had a meltdown. Everybody was like emotional this weekend. And so it's so important for us. Yes. Like all morning I listened to my frequency tones, and I got myself to this. I was already pretty happy this morning, but I got myself to such a beautiful, peaceful place, because sometimes for me, happiness can very often turn into excitement. And I love excitement. It feels great, but it also means that I'm out of alignment if I can't manage it and ground it. Right. And so that's why for me, coming to that peaceful place is really my happy place. Like that's my ideal. Because if I'm excited, I'm still like, all right, Laura Mazzata, let's bring your frequency tones in and bring yourself. Because that's how I operate. That doesn't mean that works for everybody, but that's how my energy works.
And this is why the Goldilocks of enoughness is so important, because there is nothing wrong with being excited by life. you're going to attract those people that are also excited by life, and they're not going to think you're too much because they're on that same wavelength.
Yeah.
And then there's others that love the peace and the quiet and the gentleness of life. And when you're in that frequency, you attract, you connect to people that are also finding that as their true path to enlightenment and joy and love in their life, right?
Yeah.
And so enjoying the multitude of frequencies that we all get to enjoy, and like you said, see it as an observer, right?
Yeah.
Seeing, yes, we have highs, we have lows. I'm always open to high highs and low lows in life, and understanding that a low low doesn't mean I'm depressed, that a low doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. When we can really connect and understand that we are in that low low, is because we're in that womb space. We're in a space to create, to receive, to fill ourselves up, so that, when we come back up again, we understand that there may be a low again, and that is okay. And so many people think that there's something wrong with them because they may have these high highs and low lows, or maybe monotone in life and not experience pure joy and pure happiness, and judge themselves for that.
Yeah, you're so speaking my language. I love this so much, because I tell my clients that all the time, especially those who have had a history of depression or a history of anxiety or history of anything that's been, persistent in their lives, is saying, when you've had that, and then a little bit of sadness creeps in, or you get a little nervous about something, or blah, blah, blah. It's that story of, here we go again. Oh shit. Now I'm going back to that. Oh no, I have to do this and this and this to make sure that I don't, but it's coming from this desperate energy, right? And it's really just about being able to recognize and be with that, instead of making it what you are fearing it will be, because you're then calling it in. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it's so funny that you're saying this too, because last year, so I was in the hospital in November. I was sick. They thought I was having a reaction to one of my infusions. And the whole time I was there, I was just smiling the whole time, because I just laid there saying to spirit, I can't wait to see what's on the other side. Like, I know what this is, and I'm so here for it. I'm so here for it. And it was so honestly exciting and exhilarating for me to be in that space, and just being so proud of shifting my conditioning, right? Which is what we do when we do this work. And it's so cool to see it play out in real time.
It is, and I'm a huge fan of Joe Dispenza. And so I use both in my practice. In fact, I hold space for like super long meditations sometimes. So I'm doing Reiki while they're meditating, and really dancing in their energy while they're out of their stories, and just connecting sometimes the first time to what energy actually feels like in their body. And it's just so amazing. But here, and so when you're talking about your healing and your excitement, I had endometriosis, and it ruled my life for so many years. I would pass out from the pain. I would experience chronic pain all the time. And it wasn't until I saw it as a period of, I'm not in alignment. I am not doing, I'm doing more than I need to be doing to prove my worth. And my body is telling me this. It was telling me that I was broken. It was telling me that as a woman with half a uterus and only one ovary, I am not enough. I'm not meant to, have children. I'm not meant to be, what a woman is meant to be, because I only have half of this. And so when I started coming into meditation, and not into the stories, but just allowing energy to love me for the first time. Meditation was the first time I ever felt unconditional love.
Yes.
My heart opened up, and I really truly understood what self-love and what unconditional love felt like. And through this meditation, I healed it. It healed it completely. It does not run my life. When I have a flare up, I understand that, okay, I am working too hard. I'm not in alignment. I'm rocking out with my cock out, as opposed to receiving. And so whatever conditions that come up in our life, they can be our powerful teachers to remind us to come back to ourselves and allow the healing to come through us.
Yeah, allow is exactly right, because it's just energy moving through. And I also really love that you use the word feel, that you were able to feel the healing, you were able to feel the energy, you were able to feel the shift, because that's what can get in the way, is we get in our minds. And so many people are like, and I was the same way. I was like, I suck at meditation and I hate it. And it was just because I didn't have the patience to sit down and I hadn't felt it yet. And it's really, again, you can't learn through the mind. So I can make sense of it and read all the research articles until the cows come home about why meditation is good for me. But until my body and my soul and my heart and my energy really feels and starts to integrate that vibration, I'm not going to have that momentum to continue going back for more and really believe and ingrain this in how I operate. So I really love that you brought that forward, because feeling into it is so important. And we need to give ourselves time and space to do that. And people are going so much in this world that they're not allowing that. They're not opening up space for that. And that's why doing sessions with you, sessions with me, programs with either of us, any other coach out there who's offering something similar, is you giving yourself time and space to be able to feel this and allow this to be received into your being. So I know that we have some links to drop here, but I want you to tell us how you would love for people to get in touch with you and connect going forward if they want to chat.
Absolutely. So I actually have space this week for empowerment calls. If anybody's interested in just starting to, work with their human design or work with any modality that they want. We start with human design so that you understand a little bit of the language that I love to use, because human design has given me so much more language for when I'm channeling in information. It gives me language to use that's understandable. So book an empowerment call this week. It's a 30 minutes. We download your human design chart. I give you one of the Quantum Queen books that I wrote about your energy type, and so that you can connect to it in my conscious sun is in gate 41, and that means that I get to dream, I get to have big imaginations, and so having this in my auric space allows you to, for a moment, connect to your sense of imagination, your sense of being able to dream big, and then watching it come. So yes, book an empowerment call. I also do foundational readings if you just want to start with your chart, but I truly love to dive in deep, and I have a 3-month coaching program which is called Dive in Diva, where we do connect more deeply into your human design chart and into the stories and the patterns that you are continuing to live out, so that we can clear those and you can allow more into your life.
Beautiful, beautiful. And we had somebody asking how to get their chart, so I shared the link that you had shared with me. So that they can jump in there and again, get your chart, but then schedule your call with Tammy, please, because I don't want you to be like, I don't know what to do with this, just download it, get some general information, and then call her and she'll help you navigate it. I think that would be lovely. So thank you so much for being here. Is there anything else that you want to share or drop in people's minds before we leave this space?
I want to remind you that it's already within you. And we base our happiness on an expectation. I'll be happy when. I'll be happy if. I'll be enough when. I can serve if. And I want you to remind yourselves that you are enough now, that you are worthy enough to receive just because you are. And that is it. And so don't pile on all of the reasons why you're not enough. Start unlayering, start stripping those away so you can remember why you are enough in the first place.
I love that so much. Thank you so much. This was such a beautiful gift to myself and to everyone here. So thank you for connecting and coming on and taking your time to spend time with us. We so appreciate it.
Thank you.
Everyone, you're so welcome. And everyone, I will see you guys next Monday for another episode of Heal Profoundly and Enduringly. So join me there and have a beautiful week, everyone. Bye.